Aloha, beautiful soul, and welcome to this next episode of the Soul Waves podcast. This episode is dedicated to a Bonnie, beautiful divine feminine goddess who has been going through some rough times and some grieving and some healing. And this is also dedicated to all of you who are struggling with this. Just wanted to particularly give a kudos shout out, as I done in my TikTok video a couple days ago, to say how much I appreciate this goddess, as she is the inspiration for what channeled through me for this episode. So having said that, let's dive in. And if you noticed, the title of this episode is Emotional Oxygen, Nervous System Balancing Through Saying What We Need. And I want to be able to, in this episode, break some of the molds, if you will, or some of the ways in which we see needs, because there's been given a bad connotation to needs. So we're going to dive into this. So what is a need? A need is and are the basic things that we as humans require to feel safe, connected, and respected physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually and soulfully on our path. Some needs are biological, that are our basic needs, as we well can or know of. From the time that we are born, we are a very relational and physical dependent species. We rely upon our caregivers, usually our mom and our dad. However, our caregivers in general, we rely upon them for sustenance, the literal food we breathe, the literal oxygen that we have, in the sense of being birthed into the world and being in the womb of our mother. I am being nurtured in that sense, and then our physical needs for food and shelter and things of that nature, clothing, and physical safety, physical touch. It has been well documented in research that a baby, a baron, once it's first born, within the first 24 hours even, and literally the first few hours of its life, if it isn't held and touched, will literally die. So we are different from other species on this earth, where they can be more independent. Like, I believe it's a horse, hours after birth is running around, and it really needs its mother that much. So we are one of the more dependent species in that sense. Some of our needs are emotionally based. This is the emotional oxygen that we require. And thus, it is about emotional safety, feeling heard, seen, loved, understood, validated, acknowledged, being able to be emotionally connected. And then there's some needs that are tribal, being with that sense of belonging, that sense of connection together, what we can do more so together than just alone in that sense. Some of those needs are about, also in the tribal sense, about bonding, having deep bonds in terms of our connections, connecting through our emotional needs. It is the emotional oxygen. And then the last one that I'm going to say here, which is actually meant to be the first one, but I put it last for a specific reason, and that is our spiritual soulful connection. This is our ability to be connected, or better said, remember our connection, because we are already and always connected to whatever we call our creator, God, source, spirit, the divine, Allah. It doesn't matter what it is that you choose to call such, but it is about this primal understanding of our soul and remembering our connection to our soul and to whatever we call the creator. And this is actually the underlying basis for all of our other needs. And it's actually the need that comes first for the physical needs and the emotional needs and the tribal needs. Now, why do I say that? Because we are spiritual beings, we are soulful beings having a human experience. And we bring it full circle, and it's something I talked about in my second book, 20 year gone now, in which we are spiritual, soulful beings having a human experience. And through having that human experience, we remember and be the spiritual, soulful being we are. So it's a full circle. I believe it was Wayne Dyer or somebody else who had coined the phrase originally, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And what Source had given to me back 20 odd year gone now, that I had published in my second book, is about bringing it full circle, that we are also, through that human experience, remembering and being the spiritual, soulful being that we are. And so we do have needs, and there has been a negative connotation given to needs. Now, there are two sides of the coin with this. When you are being needy, as in demanding and controlling, this is the basis of harmfulness in relationships, in connections, in real relationships. Yet our needs are actually inherent. Each of the four that I had given, the spiritual, the soulful need, our tribal needs, our emotional needs, and our physical needs, those are all inherent within us for our basic survival. If we are free from having our emotional needs met, they are exactly like that. That's why the title of this podcast being they are the emotional oxygen. If we are free from having those needs to feel nurtured, to feel loved, to feel understood and validated, we will wither away in our mental health, in our emotional health. And this is a lot of times what causes suicidality. This is also what causes depression and anxiety and things of that nature, is those needs being free from being met. Now, needs are inherent for our basic survival. What happens then in our childhood, though, gives us the barometer or the dial, if you will, by which those needs are more or less intense. So you will have some folk who feel the need to have being validated a lot stronger due to traumas, wounds, and triggers that happened in their childhood. There may be others, like myself, the sense of jealousy. I really don't have jealousy in my body in that sense. It's something that seems to trigger me. And because I never really had it in my upbringing. Now, I did have what people would call a trauma, if you will, or a wound, for lack of a better word, related to jealousy. But because actually of that jealousy that happened, or perceived jealousy, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment, I was able to be the opposite, where jealousy didn't really bother me because I healed that very young. So there was many situations in which my brother, I am the eldest of two, my younger brother, who is 5 year younger than I, was considered the golden child. He could not do anything wrong, and that was not something I was ever jealous of, although I could be. And this is what I mean by I didn't really have jealousy. I turned that around in my childhood. I always saw that as a sense of even as a wee lassie, as a little girl, I could see that it was the sense of woundedness in my parents. They really wanted a boy rather than a girl. I was considered the black sheep, or the multi-dimensional colored sheep, as I call it, or the purple colored sheep, as I call it, in that I was different. And my brother was the one who towed the line, so to speak. And so from a very young age, I was never jealous about it. It was just something that I kind of understood. He was the golden child. He was the one who was more loved, accepted, given more things to, and what have you. I didn't have a trigger or a wound per se, or where it could have been. So for me, jealousy is something that is on my emotional radar in terms of feeling as if I need to be able to be feeling safe or validated as a result of it. All right. So the intensity of our emotions and of our needs related to these things are going to be um, more of a dial, if you will. They'll be more intensely needed or less intensely needed, depending upon. All right. In childhood, also, even into adulthood, we may see that needing to be met more strongly. I so what you're invited to do is, in identifying what your needs are, is to ask yourself, of those four that I mentioned, do I really need this in those first four, or is this a preference that I have? Now, how do we go about understanding what our needs are? I would like to start out with something that I teach in my courses and have been talking about for many a years and what have you, is the difference between feeling and emotion. Feeling, and we often lump them together, feeling is a sensation in the body. It can be a prickliness. It could be a sense of feeling light, like an air balloon. It can be a constriction. It can be an expansion. Those are sensations or feelings. Emotions are energy in motion. Emotions are the energy in motion that are within the body, that give you signals, that give you information as to whether your needs are being met in that moment or they're being unmet in that moment. Emotions are simply our feedback system that we're invited to pay attention to what we are needing. Again, feelings are those sensations that are in the body that complement those emotions. And we feel the sensations in the body first, actually, before we have the emotions. And this is something that I'm going to dive deeply into in the new book that's channeling through me. So whenever it's complete and Source deems that it's complete, I will bring that out. But this is one of the things that I'm going to be talking about, is we start with our sensations first, those feelings in the body, the sensations in the body, and then that translates into what we emote about it or feel and experience of. And this is why feelings and emotions often get lumped together, yet they are distinctually different in that sense, yet complement each other at the same moment. Hi. So the feelings are the sensations in the body that we feel that complement the emotions as a physical representation of that emotion. Some of the bodily sensations will often be, as I was saying, unmet needs. As we meet the need, then the emotion and the sensation or the feeling will dissipate. Most emotions have a basic need of just needing to be heard and allowed. An acknowledgement of how we are feeling in the body, the sensation in the body, and the literal emotion that goes with it. There are some emotions that are needing something deeper, such as a literal need being met, as I shared of earlier on. And I'll give even a deeper example. And just to say before I give this example, once an emotion or a sensation in the body, a feeling or emotion, or both of them, tends to be very intense, it means that it is a more urgent need that is needing to be addressed. And often a wound and a trigger and a trauma that's related to that as well. So, always asking deeply within you, a question that can be asked is, what does this feeling and this emotion need so that it can feel heard, allowed, and then ultimately resolved? So, here's an example. We'll go back to what I was saying earlier about jealousy. So, suppose you're feeling jealous. Jealousy is the emotional feedback that says your need is about security and reassurance. And those are the needs that are being met at that moment. Anger could be the feedback saying to you, trying to get your attention, that says, pay attention, that there's needs for needing to be respected, needing to have fairness to be there, and an understanding of what's even deeper underneath the anger, which is sadness. For resentment, it may be that you're feeling resentful for two reasons. One, because you had boundaries that you either didn't enact, or that you did and you backtracked on, and you're resenting the person or persons involved or the situation involved when it's really about you being more firm in your boundaries and that need that's needed there. And ultimately, also, resentment can be coming from a place of there's appreciation that's needed. You're needing to feel appreciated. Anxiety comes about because there is a need to feel safe, either emotionally safe, physically safe, mentally safe, sometimes all of the above, spiritually safe, soulfully safe. Loneliness is that need for connection. Now, there's a difference between being alone and loneliness. Being alone means that you're okay in your own skin, that you can enjoy being with yourself, and that you love and honor and respect yourself to enjoy your own company and feel comfortable in your own skin. Loneliness is that need for connection. I do have in the book, as it's being channeled through me, something unique related to this. I will only give it away just now. However, I will say that there is going to be something that will help you to link each emotion and subsequently what is needed to help you on the path. Now, can we meet our own needs? I and nay. And this is where real relationships or connections, unions come in of all kinds, not just romantic. I am going to focus primarily on romantic though. However, I am talking about all relationships when I talk about this. There are a certain number of needs that as an adult, we can meet our own needs. And even as a child, as we start to grow in autonomy and individuality, that we can meet. However, there are certain needs that are being needy, quote unquote, or desperation, that are our basic needs. And that's why I started out with the basic needs for emotional safety, to feel heard, to feel validated, to feel understood. Those are some of the basic ones. There's loads more, and I'm going to have that in my upcoming book as well. However, just kind of focusing on the basic ones at the present moment. Those needs are both and. They are both meant to be met within and also without in connection with others. and they depended upon one or the other. And if you have a core look at every real relationship, every real connection, at the core of it is all about drama and trauma related to arguing about security versus freedom, respect versus autonomy, closeness versus separation. And underneath it all, it's about needs being met. Now, does that mean relationships are only about needs being met? Nay. And I speak about this in my other book, Song of the Princess. And my twin soul, when he did Song of the Troubadour, in his own way, he spoke about it. And he also spoke about it in a love letter to me at one point. And I think it was the first year of our connection, in which he talked about what love really is. And he was talking about from a space that love is nay about needs being met, that love is beyond that. And so I kind of want to break that down. And I talk about that in Song of the Princess, because this is where the soulful needs and the spiritual needs come in. Soulfully and spiritually, all our needs are met because the Creator provides. And the Creator provides through synchronicities, through amazing folk on earth, but nay in a sense of a neediness or a desperation way. Aye? That is the biggest issue in all relationships. And what is really being talked about in Song of the Princess and Song of the Troubadour is love is about needs being met in a way of controlling. So I want to give you a few examples of this. There is a difference between having your needs met and coming from a place of controlling. So if you are coming to your partner and you are saying to your partner, I need for you to say I'm beautiful. I need for you to text me more. That's a form of controlling behavior and needs being met, quote unquote, that is about control, and that is what love is. Yet if you genuinely have a need to be reassured in the moment that something is on, that you're feeling uneasy about something, and you say to them, to your partner, hey, there's this thing that I'm needing right now to feel that isn't feeling fulfilled. What I need right now is to feel okay. What I need to feel right now is to feel sad, or to feel validated, or to feel appreciated, or to feel reassured. That is an actual need. Now, here's the kicker. And this is the hardest part. And it points to something that this divine feminine goddess, who is the inspiration for this podcast episode, and many of you are experiencing right now, that I want to hone in on. And there's going to be vastly more about this in terms of this particular thing about needs and identifying your needs coming forth in the book and subsequent course as well, that Source has been guiding me towards to provide for all of you. And the kicker is your partner, or if this is a friendship, or even your parents as adults, or a sibling, it doesn't matter who it is. The kicker is they have the divine free will or divine free choice to choose whether they're going to meet that need or nay. If you are demanding or controlling that they have to give you reassurance right now, or they have to give you whatever that is, connection right now, or validation right now, that's a form of control. Everyone, including yourself, has the ability to meet somebody's needs emotionally, physically, spiritually, soulfully, tribally. And yet they also have the ability to choose to be free from such. So, can we meet our own needs? We are encouraged to meet our own needs as much as possible. So, we are not dumping in desperation onto a partner or onto other folk in our lives to try to get that from somebody else. It's meant to come from within first, and it starts with our connection to the divine and our connection within. And then from there, some needs that I have shared about are meant to come in relational connection. And so it is our basic need to ask for such, yet we cannot require such in the sense that they have to give that need. They have to meet that need. They can choose to or nay. And vice versa. You, on your end, can choose to meet the need that your partner or your friend or your mom or your dad or your brother or sister or whoever has as well. You always are wanting to come from a place of taking that person and taking yourself as part of you, as Source does, and asking, is this in my best interest and their best interest to do this? Nay, just to F you, I'm nay going to meet your needs. That's what causes the conflict. Because we use it as a form of power and control, and that is nay what love is. Yet when we genuinely are coming to somebody and they're asking, I need to be validated because I'm feeling sad right now. I don't want to be told it's going to be okay. I just want you to validate that I'm sad right now and that I'm okay. We have the opportunity in that moment to validate it. Now, if in that moment and someone's coming to you that way and we invalidate them, or we choose nay to validate them at all, that then shows you if you're able to be in connection with this person or nay. Nay, because they are nay meeting the need, but because that means that you two are nay in alignment if they're unwilling or unable to meet that need. It doesn't necessarily mean that that person is good, bad, right, or wrong. It is for whatever reason they are choosing, consciously or unconsciously, to nay meet that need. And that's the kicker, because most of us want to say, well, okay, they're not meeting my needs, so I'm going to break up with them. Now, there's a difference, or I'm going to walk away from them. There's a difference between that and a reoccurring pattern of someone meeting your needs that you have addressed and expressed. So the first part is identifying your needs. And the easiest place for you to search for your needs goes back to what I shared earlier, which is your emotions. Because your emotions are that feedback system that lets you ken what it needs are being met and what needs are being met. So your needs are hiding underneath oftentimes negative emotions. I am angry. It's okay to be angry, and it's valid to be angry if you're angry in that moment and you want to allow that in your body. Yet you're also being invited to go deeper than that and ask, okay, what is this anger about? What need is being met? So this is our option always when we are in a place of addressing needs. In a relationship, and I'll speak in a romantic relationship, the biggest conflict is these unmet needs. And once you address them and you are coming from a place of repair, and the person comes to you and says that they are sorry and they have apologized to you and have said to you what they would do going forward, and they have acknowledged the hurt and pain that it caused you without excuses, without explanation. And they give you the means by which how they're going to rebuild trust again, how they're going to repair this, and they do this behavior again. And then they come back and they still continue to repeat the behavior. And it happens again and again. This is when we're meant to reevaluate our relationship with that person and say, okay, my needs are now being met. My basic needs are now being met. Has nothing to do with controlling. This has to do with my basic needs are now being met for reassurance, for love, for understanding, for emotional stability, for whatever it is that you are needing in that moment, which is far different than, oh, he's nay or she is nay texting me often enough, and so I'm going to break up with them. Do you see the difference? One is a sense of controlling someone's behavior, and those are the kinds of needs that are nay actual needs. Those are preferences. So there's a difference between that and needing clarity, emotional safety, in some cases, physical safety, connection. Those are different needs. So I wanted to be able, that sense of feeling nurtured, understood, validated, those are our basic needs. If those are nay being met, then we are invited to reevaluate that relationship. And sometimes it means letting go. I've had to do that recently in my own life. And one thing I came into understanding is something else that I will share with you as well. I recently did this with my twin soul for the last and final time. And what I want to share about this is that over the course of the 18 years that we have been connected, are we twin souls? Aye. Will we continue to be twin souls? Aye. That is a soulful connection that will always be there. Yet over the last 18 years, I have come to my twin soul in both ways. And this is why I share with you this, because I have had to come to learn this in my own life and heal this in my own life so that I'm no longer doing certain behaviors. I came to him in both ways over the many years. Sometimes I would come to him with, look, if we're going to be in a relationship, we need to see each other more, blah, 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 blah. That's a need. I need to see you more. That's a control. That's not a need, right? That was my preference. And then there were other times, and as I healed this, of course, where I would come to him from my heart and from my soul. I'm feeling love starved. I need to have these feelings heard, seen, understood, validated, to be respected, to be acknowledged, to have emotional connection with you, to feel that sense of emotional safety as I am being these within myself, and I am doing this nurturing in myself. And these are my needs for our relationship to work. And each time I have done that, because he comes from the wounds and the traumas, and I say this nay from an accusation, nay putting shade on him or anything else. This is just a what is of his behavior. Due to his own traumas and wounds and triggers, he comes from a place that any need is being needy or desperation. He is free from understanding or willing to understand the difference between emotional needs that are our basic needs to be met in a relationship and something that's considered needing and controlling. He lumps it all in as needing and controlling. And so because of that, anytime I have come to him from my heart, from my soul, what it is that I'm needing, that I'm already giving myself reassurance within, and I am needing that from you, he is choosing to be free from needing that need. And it's been an over and over and over again pattern, which is developed into his character, which again comes from the wounds and traumas, which is wonderful in the sense of my understanding that. Yet here's the thing. We canna be responsible for someone else's own healing on their path. And we canna be responsible for staying. And I just had this conversation with a wonderful session of someone who I mentored on a line that I'm on recently about this same line I was talking about, actually, different person. Um, this person was really afraid that if she broke up from her current relationship, that the man involved and that she was calling me about would have a propensity to try to take his life. And she was being afraid of that, and this is why she stayed. And he has the same, her partner has the same issue that my twin soul has, that he came to sharing with me in our first year together, which got compounded over the many years that he showed me this, which is everyone I love leaves me. He wrote this to me in a love letter, my twin soul did, and then we also talked about it in a phone conversation during our first year together. And this man that I was talking about, of this goddess, she was speaking to me that this was her fear and this is why she stayed. And I admit I went through that in the earlier years of our connection, 18-year gone. I was afraid of repeating, being the repeat, if you will, of that, oh, I can't leave him because that's only reinforcing his everyone I love leaves me thing and what have you. That's going to reinforce, see, she's the one who did it too, blah, 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 right? And I had to come to realize this, seeing with real eyes, the same thing I shared with this woman, which is you are nay responsible for someone else's choices. If they are continuously, whether willingly or unwillingly, or willfully or unconsciously choosing to meet your needs, and these are basic human needs that you require, preferences, but are required for a relationship to work, for emotional connection, for intimacy to be there. And these are being met, you have the choice as to whether you're going to walk away. And that is meant to be hinging upon whether something could happen to somebody, to your partner or whoever, if you choose to walk away. They are responsible for their own healing path. You cannot take on that responsibility of healing for them. Only they can do that. And so when it came to my twin soul, I came forward to him with my needs specifically in that loving way. And once again, he made the choice to be free from, and it's his right. He has every right. And again, this is the kicker. This is the hardest part that we struggle with, because we think, oh, we're in a relationship with someone, they're supposed to meet my needs. Technically, I, and technically, nay. First and foremost, you're meant to meet your own needs as much as possible. And then when it comes to relational needs, they still have that choice. And if they choose to be free from doing such, and they choose it as a pattern ongoingly, then it's up to you to choose whether you're going to continue to stay in that dynamic or nay. And so it was the final straw. And so I went into silence mode. Nay as a manipulation tactic, but as a statement to say, you no longer have access to me because of your choice. There are consequences to your choice to nay fulfilling the needs of the relationship and what I am asking for, that are basic human needs. And again, it's okay. It's his choice. He can choose to meet those needs. I can then choose to walk away. And so I have been silent for the last 2 months now, because of that propensity to be afraid that I would be repeating that pattern of his belief of everyone I love leaves me. I would always reconnect. Or when he would attempt to reach out with what's known as an emotional breadcrumb in avoidant attachment and narcissistic tendencies and what have you, which he has done 3 times now, I would usually respond, and then that would give him permission, because each time I allowed him back in my life, and this is the kicker that I want to share, particularly to you, divine feminine goddesses, but this goes for all of us, because divine masculine men do this as much as divine feminine goddesses. Anytime you put a preference of a boundary that says, okay, my needs, my basic needs that I have emotionally are nay being met, and I am choosing to walk away, yet you go back, whether they message you first or nay, whether they call you first, whether they see you or nay, whatever the situation is, the moment that you do that, you are letting that person know, whether it's a romantic relationship or friendship, mother daughter, father son, whatever, it doesn't matter. You are letting that person know that it is okay for them to disrespect you, to nay consider your needs, and that you will still take them back. Now, whether you consciously realize that or nay, that's exactly what is on. And this is why it's very important, if you are going to make the choice, and again, I had to learn this from myself, soulfully remember it for myself, to stay in those boundaries. So he's contacted me 3 times. He's tried every trick in the book. The first one was trying to lure me into a video to watch, or a video channel that he likes to watch, seeing that usually when I would respond and go, oh yeah, I'll check into it, kind of a thing. The second one was some sort of philosophical, spiritual comment, going deep as he does, speaking. And the third one, most recent one, was he was thinking in his mind, whether consciously or subconsciously. My intuition is that he was thinking this consciously. She'll answer because she'll answer about the music. Oh, here's the new song, and sends me the link. Now, again, I'm not doing this in a sense of manipulation of, oh, F him, I'm nay responding to him. Nay. This is a stance in self-worth and self-respect that says my needs, I have identified them based upon my emotions and feelings as to what are my core values that I need for a relationship to work with a man and a relationship in general. And those are not being met. It is your right. It is your choice and your right to choose to meet them. And it is also my right and choice to be free from from staying, and to walk away. And to give you the access to me that you have earned. And that earning is by meeting those needs. Now, does that mean, again, this goes back full circle, does that mean that relationships are about needs being met and, oh, you're going to walk away because you're meeting my need? Nay, in a sense of that, in terms of desperation type needs, controlling type needs. These are foundational needs for emotional safety, being heard, being respected, being honored, being seen, being validated. And the natural progression of a relationship, which is to naturally then organically feel this willing to see one another. And it's been 13 years now since we've seen one another. And that for me is a preference need. Yet it's also a basic need, because human connection cannot happen without physical human connection. And so that is a basic need. A basic human need is to feel safe, connected, respected, physically, emotionally, mentally, soulfully. Biologically, basic needs for food, clothing, shelter, physical safety, physical touch, physical connection, which I'm not receiving with him. I feel emotionally unsafe with him because he's constantly invalidating and making me feel, nay, because he's making me feel, but I am feeling invalidated because he is not willing to meet my needs. And so I'm sharing this with you from my own personal life so that you can take the moment to look into your life and see where you're at. If you're meant to go and be in a place of silence and nay responding, nay from manipulation, but as a statement of you are nay going to get access to me, when you're in a place of choosing to meet the needs that are the basic needs for a relationship to work, romantic or otherwise. And again, this is name manipulation, this is name control, this is you coming into a deep understanding of what do I need? Asking yourself, what do I need? What are my core values? What is it that I have preferences of as well that are deal breakers? That I can say, I am going to walk away. Again, nay in a place of manipulation, but simply because this is just a misalignment. In any relationship, friendship, romantic relationship, parental relationship, business relationships, it is based upon two or more beings coming together because they understand that they are here to take each other within each other and to provide what is needed out of the indwelling in their heart. And if that is nay there, then that's okay. But you are meant to then choose whether you're going to stay or walk away. And if you stay, it's with the understanding that you're okay without those needs being met and nay going to go after them from that person in desperation. Or you let go and you understand, okay, this person is just in alignment with who I am and what it is that I need. As this goes back into what I talked about in last week's podcast episode related to the things that are basic fundamental needs in any relationship, romantic or otherwise. In this case, I'm referring to my twin soul. Is it a soul-based connection and will we still be twin souls? That like source is forever. And so that connection will always be there. Yet in the earthly realm, there are things such as emotional regulation, emotional balancing, which goes to the heart of these needs that I'm talking about in this episode. Nervous system balancing, nervous system regulation, trust, respect, appreciation for one another, validation, effective communication, honesty, integrity, vulnerability, healthy conflict resolution with repair, as I shared with earlier in this podcast on how to do repair in a brief nugget, alignment with your energy and intention. What is your intention for the relationship, the connection, and your energy within that, and being consistent in that alignment. And then it's also the alignment with your energy yourself, that your vibration, frequency, energy, thoughts, words, feelings, emotions, and actions are all in alignment rather than misaligned or saying one thing and doing another and such, and having accountability and aligned values and compatible visions. And as I took a look at, even though we have a wonderful soul-based connection in the humanness with my twin soul, most of these things are nay here. I have learned over our 18 years together in taking what I have healed from previous and parlaying it into our connection, my twin soul and mine. I have learned how to emotionally balance and nervous system balance. Am I perfect at it? Nay. Do I mess up? Absolutely. We all do. However, overall, and again, this is made from a sense of blame, he would be the first to tell you this as well. I am, out of the two of us, more emotionally balanced and emotionally regulated and in tune with my emotions. And I'm able to have healthy conflict resolution with him and effectively communicate what is needed and having that repair with him when need be, and taking accountability and responsibility for my part in things, and then what I'm going to do in repairing things and what have you. And on his end, there is both the having no clue how to do that, and then in spite of watching many videos, such as I think he's really into Aaron Apke, I think is his name, or what have you, and he's interviewed Kyle Cease, and Kyle Cease mirrors a lot of the work that I do in terms of inner soul child healing work and what have you, and many other folk and whatever on this channel, which is I believe the channel that he had sent me in that message, and that I didn't respond to, that I was in silence on. Despite watching videos, and many on this earth go through this, they watch many videos, even my content, other people's content and what have you, and go, oh yeah, that's really good and what have you, but they're free from actually utilizing and putting into practice on a consistent basis this work. And because it's difficult, it's not easy in that sense. And so that's where accountability and responsibility is. And overall, my twin soul is free from taking accountability for his disrespecting of me. In fact, he's often turned it around and, I didn't disrespect you, or that's not what was said, or other gaslighting things. And I just got to the point where it was like, I'm not tolerating this anymore. This is not who I am. This is not my values. We are mismatched, misaligned. And so I am walking away. And so I am sharing this with you, not to out him or to blame him or anything else. This is just a statement of what is. He has the unwillingness and the incapability despite that. And it comes down to regulation of your nervous system and regulating your emotions, something he has no desire to do. It's not about even the capability of having the tools. He just doesn't see it as a priority. He doesn't see me as a priority. And me, I'm making me a priority in choosing myself, in choosing love, self-respect, self-love, and walking away. And so I share this with all of you, again, not to out him or what have you. He has even said to me that he's given me permission over the years to share our path together, his and mine, and the lack thereof now, because we are in a contact for good scenario. Even though soulfully we'll always be connected. And he relies upon that as a self-defensive coping mechanism. Oh, I'll just be together with her energetically, soulfully, and, I'm with God. And that's also a defense mechanism that he utilizes to justify being connected. And if he chooses that, that's great. What I'm saying is that doesn't resonate with me. And so I am sharing this with all of you to invite you into having a look into your relationships and seeing where there is a misalignment, a mismatch, seeing where you have the ability to grow with this person or nay grow with this person, to be able to have your needs met and their needs being met by you. And if nay, walk away with your dignity and understanding that you've done everything you can do if you have addressed it in a loving way. Now, there are steps to doing that and what have you, which I have covered some of that in my other podcast episodes. Probably will do such in other podcast episodes going forward. However, and it will be content probably in a book at some point as well. Maybe the book that I'm currently channeling, although it could be, we'll see. It's up to source. I leave that in the divine's hands. It is coming through me as me. And so wherever I'm meant to be guided towards, I will do. Having said that, this is wisdom in this podcast episode to invite all of you to really take a look at what are your needs? What are your preferences or desires, which you can have those as well, but distinguish the difference between needs and preferences. And where do they align with your relationships, romantic and all relationships? And can you ask what you need for what you need. Because to go back to the inspiration for this podcast episode, I honor this divine feminine goddess because she spent all of these years in this place of people pleasing and nay asking for what she needed. And she came to me, and I made a faux pas, which I will state publicly. When I read her message at first, I was seeing it from the perspective of she was asking me about this from other folk who were saying this to her. And it turned out, ironically, she was. And so the wisdom I gave her, which I will share lastly with you here, is sometimes when people are grieving or they're going through a loss of a child, like I just celebrated the birthday, heavenly birthday of my daughter, who I lost 25 years ago, who passed away. But sometimes when people are grieving the loss of a child or a loss of a loved one or a loss of a relationship or a job or a house or a situation that they really had their heart into or what have you, there can be a tendency for folk to come to you and say, it's going to be okay, even when you don't feel okay. And at this point, that's where she was. And when she came to me, she kindly asked me for what she needed, which was, can you just validate the fact that I'm feeling sad right now? That I feel like shite right now. Anger, I'm putting in other things. She didn't say this, but she was asking to just be validated. And I was sharing with her the original wisdom, which I'll share with all of you now, just now in closing, which is sometimes when people they don't know what to say, and they themselves have trouble validating their own emotions and understanding what their own emotions are, let alone yours, they will try to self-soothe you as if you were that little girl or that little boy, that wee lad, wee lassie, and like they're holding you and saying, it's going to be okay, like you've just fallen down and scraped your knee. And that was the place I was coming to from when I shared that with her of it's going to be okay. But sometimes, and I'm putting this out in the public for everyone to understand, sometimes we just need to be validated. And 99% of the time, we just need to be validated. And so, of course, I profusely apologize to her, as I will publicly apologize here as well. I was very remorseful at the fact that I had just said that to her and it triggered her of saying it's going to be okay. I was apologizing from a place of nay giving excuses or nay giving explanation, simply acknowledging the impact. I understood how much it hurt her and it triggered her and traumatized her and re-traumatized her, because this is something she would say to herself and others would say to her all the time, and she was just sick of it. And I also then wanted to share with her that sometimes that's what folks say because they didn't ken what else to say. It's like when you've lost something, whether it's a relationship or a child, you're speechless. Whoever's on the other end of hearing that news, they really don't know what to say. And so they say, oh, it's going to be okay. And I shared with her, once I first lost my daughter, Caitlin, the first time, I had an ectopic pregnancy and I nearly died. It was one of my deaths, actually. I did die on the operating table, but nearly died before that. And I lost part of my right tube. I had loads of friends and family. We were so excited. We were having another baby at that time. And I had told everyone prematurely. And this was at 2.5 months that I had this happen. And it was devastating. And I had loads of folk tell me, oh, it's going to be okay. Oh, you're young. You can have more children. And that just pissed me off. So I could understand exactly where she was coming from. And so just for all of you who are going through that, if someone says to you something when you are experiencing a loss that triggers you or upsets you, I invite you to understand it also from their perspective, even though, of course, in the moment you're in grieving and you have every right to feel as you feel and to be validated and what have you. What I would invite you to do is to take it from their perspective and understand they done ken. They don't ken what to say. They don't ken how to validate their own emotions because most folk don't even ken how to do this that I'm sharing with you in this podcast, let alone be able to do such for somebody else. And so this is why the crux of this podcast is ask for what you need. As she had done, come to them and say, do you know what? I understand that you didn't king, you don't know how to process your own emotions, perhaps. And so I understand you're trying to say it's going to be okay, and I understand you mean well. Yet, what I'm really needing in this moment is just to be validated because I'm feeling sad or angry or whatever emotion is there for you in that moment. And ask them, can you just be here with me and validate that and say, I hear you. I understand it must be so challenging, so difficult for you, what you're going through. 99% of the time, if you come to someone from the heart that way, they're going to respond to you and say, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't understand that's what you needed. Of course, you have every right to feel sad or something along those lines. It's only going to be the ones who are having attachment issues, dismissive avoidant or fearful avoidant or narcissistic or what have you, that would then continue to invalidate you. And then that would give you your clue like, okay, I need to walk away. Just something for you to understand in the emotional landscape of emotional oxygen. This is what we are needing in our real relationships. Being able to be felt, heard, seen, understood, validated. Those are our basic needs. Beyond food, shelter, physical safety is emotional safety, that emotional oxygen. So I invite you to give that to yourself and to others in this this one moment, this now, because this is all we have is this present moment. And so with that, until we meet again, heart to heart, soul to soul, this is Lady Nanari sharing with you. May your life be filled with love, light, and cosmic insights on the sacred path of your life, and akin to know that I am always here for you at any moment to validate you and to coach you, mentor you, guide you in this process. As a somatic healing therapist, and also as just a mentor, a guide, and soul friend. Sending you much mahalo. Thank you for the loving being that you are. And much aloha.